Hello and welcome to another edition of Pop and Scott, the second edition of the day. First one kind of failed on us, Dad, but we'll power through this one.
It's the lovely world of computers.
Yeah, so we had a little malfunction, but all is good. I feel like we'll get through this. So as I was saying before, I think we've been going at this for a year now, and we want to thank everybody for watching and supporting and all the kind words and the help when we don't know the answer or we give you the wrong answer. It's been pleasant, and I hope we continue on with this. I know I'm having a lot of fun. I don't know about you, Dad, but it seems like you're
It's enjoyable. It's enjoyable.
Right. So another week is down in baseball. Week 2. I feel like we're getting to know who the good teams are, what teams I feel like it's just another week of the same thing in the first week, but I know you had something to talk about, and
well, we'll try to get through this again. I mentioned that I saw Shohei Imanago pitch for the Cubs, and he's 30 years old, but he's very good. And he pitched an awesome game for the Cubs Monday. And Atlanta picked up Sandy Leon to help with their catching problems since one of their catchers got hurt. Josh Jung of the Texas Rangers fractured his wrist, so he's going to be out for a while. And then the Astros, who've been playing lousy, especially with the pitching, Ronel Blanco threw a no-hitter on Monday, which is one of the earliest. Yeah, he threw a Blanco, yeah. And then, of course, the Mets, they got to have something go wrong. Tyler McGill got a shoulder problem, so he's going to be out for a while. The Oakland City Council offered the Athletics a 5-year extension on the stadium while their stadium was being built in Las Vegas for $97 million for 5 years to release the Oakland Coliseum and finish there. The A's turned it down, and they're going to play those last few years. They're going to play in West Sacramento. I didn't even know there was an East Sacramento, but they're going to play in West Sacramento. And that thing between the A's and the A's in that city, that turned into a Democrat-Republican thing. I mean, it was just a war between the two sides. And all the Phillies fans who were going crazy because Harper hadn't hit a home run during all spring training, and he was like 0 for 11, his first 11 at bats. Last Tuesday, he hit 3 home runs and drove in 6 RBIs, so I think the slump is over.
Then he hit one the next day, too.
Yeah, and Joey Bart, who the San Francisco Giants gave up on finally. Great catcher, but he couldn't hit. So they gave up on him and cut him. And the Pittsburgh Pirates picked him up. And the first game he played with Pittsburgh, he hit a home run. Go figure. Then Larry Lucchino, he passed away at 78. And he was a past president of the Boston Red Sox. And he brought in, what was his name, the general manager, and they built those teams. They won championships in New York after, about an 80-year drought with winning championships. He also he was also president of Padres for a while, and he was also one of the people responsible for getting Camden Yards built for the Orioles. So he passed away this year. He was with Boston for 14 years, and they had 3 championships. And we were talking last week about the Orioles and their prospects in their minor league system. They played the Charlotte Knights last Tuesday night. They won 26-11. The next night they won 14-11. So this is what I've been talking about. They've got great position players, but they got no pitching.
Yeah, I saw their batting averages.
Oh, it's amazing.
Everybody on their team's over 300 except for the catcher, and I think he's batting like 265. Jackson Holiday's just on a tear, batting 400 and something.
Well, that was like the 12-year-old little league team you were on that I helped coach that won the city championship. Every kid on the team hit over 300 except the little right fielder.
Yeah, that team is just, you look at it, it's just prospect after prospect after prospect all the way down. I mean, Jackson Holiday will be down. Probably Kjerksten, or however you say his name, ain't going to be down too much longer. That team's loaded. And I want to back up on go over some of that stuff you brought up. We talked. So the pitcher for the Cubs, a little older than Yamamoto. We'll touch on it. It feels like we've already talked about this, but nobody else heard it. So he's an older pitcher. So now he's become more of a pitcher. So he don't have to rely on fastballs and just throwing by people. He's like, we brought up names before, like Maddox. I felt like Maddox in the back half of his career was unhittable because he was just such a great pitcher at that point. You brought up some names like Spahn and Seaver and
Steve Carl.
Yeah,
they were fastball pitchers, and then they learned how to pitch.
And I think that has something to do with it. Teams were staying away because he was a little older, but I'm like, Japan doesn't pitch. They don't pitch as much or as often.
They have 6-man starting rotation.
And, they
pitch once a week.
Yeah, I don't know if that's 100% 6-man, but I know they have more off days during the week than major leaguers. They always have at least one, if not two, off days in a week. So that's why they get so much break. They don't pitch but every 7 days. Yeah, they don't play
162 games either.
It's 140, I think, 41 or something, like 42. Which wouldn't be bad for MLB if you're going to have more playoffs, but I digress. I like the schedule. I wish they cut it down maybe 1 week.
So, yeah, I'd like to see them cut about 7-8 games back, and so the playoffs. I mean, fine. It's fine for television. It's fine for making money, but you're taking a chance when the longer the playoffs go into November. Baseball is meant to be played in warm weather, right. And so the longer you go into November, the more you run into. And they play all the games at night to be in prime time. It can be 35. The other night before last, I was watching the Orioles playing in Pittsburgh. It was 30-some degrees, and they were playing, and all of a sudden there was a snow flurry. That was pretty odd, watching the guy pitch with snowflakes falling.
Right. Well, I know Wake Forest was at Virginia Tech this weekend, and it was like game time 38. Wind chill was below freezing. So
yeah, well, Blacksburg is brisk. Blacksburg can be cold on the 4th of July.
But I mean, I knew that because I'm here at Winston-Salem. I was paying more attention to UVA because I think they're playing North Carolina this weekend. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to touch on that because I thought that was a great point we brought up earlier that nobody else heard. See, and it was, I think the Orioles, I think also that could help them get a pitcher down the road if they need to get one too with trading chips. They wouldn't necessarily have to trade their best player to get a third or fourth pitcher, but they would have some trading chips.
Well, they've got plenty of them.
Right. I think the Mets do too. When you look at their minor league, they have a catcher that's probably their top 3 prospect, but where is he going to go? You got Alvarez catching. So they kind of have the same thing. They're kind of bottleneck. What are you going to do with some of these guys? So,
I was they showed the highlights of the Mets and the Cincinnati Reds this morning on MLB. And the Mets were winning the game. And that catcher, the pitcher threw a ball in the dirt, and he went to rise up the block, and it went right between his legs, went to the backstop. So maybe that young kid will be catching before you know it.
Well, Alvarez, him and Brett Beatty, who I was dogging in the not dogging. I'm not. I feel like we can upgrade. those two are leading the team in RB. They're the only two that's knocked in
It's
runs outside of Pete Alonso.
The Mets at the beginning of yesterday's game, Ron Darling said that believe it or not, the Mets starting rotation, the Mets pitching staff had they were the top earned run average, but they couldn't score any runs because the batting average for the starting 9 was 172.
Yeah, and they were winning yesterday. I mean, Steer, the Reds got a great young team. I don't know if they got enough to make the playoffs, or do a run in the playoffs. They might get into the playoffs, but look out for them next year, the year after. Get a little bit more experience, get Dela Cruz to learn the game a little bit more at the plate. But they got some other guys, India, Steer. They're good. they're good.
Well, Steer is the one that won the game yesterday, and he's been their leading hitter this spring, so far.
Right.
I mean, but here again, it's early, so you don't panic. Everybody just be calm.
Well, I was wearing my Mets hat yesterday at Costco, and one of the guys that were giving out samples is like, maybe next year. I'm a Mets fan. I'm like, dude, it's week 2.
You never know.
Yeah, they can go on a run too. I mean, I like the fact they're hitting, and I've said it all off season. That's the problem, and not the pitching side of it. If it's the pitching side, there ain't no coming back. But it's the hitting side, and it ebb and flows on the hitting side. So they'll go on streaks and as a team and all of that. So that's what I'm kind of hoping for with them. But there's other teams. Let's talk about the Yankees. Just Yankees being the Yankees. Look like the murderer's row Yankees of the past.
Yeah, the Yankees are playing well. The Detroit Tigers are playing well. But here again, the Phillies are playing well now because they're playing the Nationals.
And a couple of teams we pointed out to kind of watch for, Royals, they're playing well.
The Royals starting pitching is the number one staff in baseball right now.
Right.
The number one staff.
That young team, scrappy. They remind me when the Brewers first went on their run, when they got Yelich and, the manager and all that. And
I watched them play the other day, a game they won. I'm going to tell you what, you talk about speed. I thought Arizona had speed. They have these Kansas City kids. They can run, and they said they had 2 kids on the bench that were faster than the starters.
Right.
And Bobby Witt's one of the fastest guys in the baseball.
Right.
Well, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, they get on base, they steal a base. I mean, they could have walked a second.
Speaking of speed, you questioned. We talked about the A's and how they want to win. They sent down Yuri, the guy that stole 70 bases last year. So
yeah.
They sent him down to AAA, and he's batting over 400 this year. That was the question was, okay, he can steal out of bases, but he's got to get on base to steal them. Well, if he's batting 275 with a 400 on over 400 on base percentage, I think that
qualifies.
Yeah. I don't understand that, but to each his own. I mean, it looks like Bleday for the A's, who he was the number 1 pick a few years back in Major League Baseball. When he was with he got drafted by the Marlins, and I thought he was going to be the real deal, and he's taken a while to break into the majors, but it seems like he's getting on track. He just don't have Sean Langoliers, who came up with the Braves organization. He's doing all right with the A's, but again.
Well, they won yesterday. They got a good pitcher. They got this 30-year-old pitcher they've had for years. He pitched a real good game yesterday. He's a good pitcher, but nobody knows about him because he's with the Yankees.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Yankees,
they've been bad, but they're going to be bad.
Now, speaking of the Yankees, Jonathan, I guess it's Loaisiga or something like that. I can't pronounce it right, but he's got a torn ACL, and he was out all last year. And he was coming back during spring training. He's pitching well, and he's got a torn ACL. He's out. Jackie Bradley signed, 34 years old now, signed with the Long Island Ducks of the Atlantic League. He wants to keep playing just in case somebody has injuries and they want to get an experienced outfielder.
Right. Because his bat is not.
He can't hit.
Yeah.
He had that one series when he was with the Red Sox and they won the championship, the American League Championship. He played in that series. He was the most valuable player because he hit a ton.
Yeah,
but he went to the World Series and didn't hit hardly anything.
Right.
But he's a great outfielder.
He's a Gold Glover. Yeah, he's a Gold Glove outfielder. So, if somebody's looking for experience, veteran, not bad. Virginia guy, grew up one town over from us.
Yuri Perez of the Marlins, he's going to have Tommy John surgery. He's out for the year. He was one of the pitchers that the Orioles were trying to trade for. Now they named another one that they're back in talks with the Marlins about trading for another one because they're not too sure when those two guys that are hurt are coming back.
Right.
So they're talking to him again about that. In St. Louis, they've got a catcher named Ivan Herrera. He's 23 years old. They brought him up, put him hitting cleanup. And the Cardinals are playing better ball this year. The team that I picked to win last year. Oh, Steven Strasburg finally made it official. He retired. So he's retired. And then Shane Bieber of the Cleveland Indians is going to have Tommy John surgery.
Yep.
Strider has a torn ulnar, and he might have to have his second Tommy John surgery, and they think he's out for the year. These pitchers are dropping like flies.
That was my Cy Young pick. Well, they just throw so hard. We talked about it before. It's 100% on every pitch.
This is they have a disagreement. They're having a disagreement between the Players Association and Major League Baseball. The Players Association is saying the reason all these pitchers are getting hurt and having to have Tommy John surgery is the pitch clock. They want to do away with the pitch clock or make the time longer because they said that pitchers don't get enough time between the pitches, and that's why they're getting hurt. That might have something to do with it, but having your pitcher throw 100 miles an hour for 5 innings and then bringing in the other guy might have a little bit to do with it.
Yeah, snapping off a slider at 96 might have something to do with it.
Exactly. Give me everything you got for 5 innings, and then I'll bring in Joe Blow from Kokomo.
And that's what we were talking about earlier. These older pitchers, all of a sudden they drop speed and they become pitchers. That's how you stay in the league. I mean, or unless you're a left-handed reliever, you can stay in the league indefinitely. But these guys that stuck around, Bartolo Colon couldn't break an egg, but he was around forever because he hit.
He's still pitching.
I know. It's in.
He's 51. He's 51, and he's pitching in Saudi Arabia or someplace.
Yeah, so I'm like, there's something to be said about that. Placement, is means a lot. And I know these guys and how they swing. It's a science now, hitting as well as pitching, but the hitting side of it is such a science.
Well, I would hope that Major League Baseball would do a study just to check and see, because maybe you can take the pitch clock, maybe not make it just a little bit, just stretch it out just a tad. I don't want them to go back the way it was because I don't want to go back to 4-hour baseball.
Right.
Because if they do that,
they're
going to ruin
seconds off of when a guy was on base. I didn't understand that, why you would do that. I didn't understand what the reasoning was for that. They never really gave a reason why they took 2 seconds off when there was a guy on base.
Everybody thought that the pitch clock and the bases were going to be the biggest reason that, and I say everybody, the people I listened to and read about, that was going to be the biggest reason that stolen bases were going to go up last year. But the biggest reason the stolen bases went up last year is because the pitchers could only throw over 3 times. Yeah. Once they threw over, they were handcuffed.
It was twice.
Well, they can throw over twice, and the third time the guy gets the base.
Right. So but yeah.
But if they throw over the third time and get him, they got him.
I've seen pitchers now, they don't even throw over at all.
Why? What's the point? But I mean, I think maybe if they wanted to do that, maybe give them a few more, because that I think hurts the catchers more than anything, because they don't have a chance to throw the guys out.
Well, it changed last year. Throwing out 25% was a good number.
Exactly. This thing about just blaming it all on the pitch clock, I just the minor leagues have they've been using a pitch clock for a few years now, and the major leagues used it last year and this year. Now all of a sudden it's the problem. Right. Why didn't you say it was a problem last year? Why didn't you say it was a problem in the minors when they were using it? I mean, all of a sudden it's a problem. I guess you guys, the pitcher wants to stand out there in the mound for a half hour between pitches. That's fine. Some of them do, but it makes the game drag on. And I hate to break it to these guys, but look how much the ratings went up and attendance went up last year when they went to the pitch clock, and you weren't at the ball game where you had to shave before you went in and then shave when you went home because you had a beard.
Yeah.
I mean, those 4-hour games, it's fun now. I can sit there and my Nationals or the Orioles come on at 7:05 and the game's over at 9:30.
Yep.
9:30, 9:45. I got another hour before I go to bed. I mean, it's just, and I don't fall asleep in the chair. The game's over quick enough.
Right. Yeah, and it keeps the game moving and exciting. You're not sitting there.
The defense and the plays seem to me, they're more alert. They're more on their toes. They're more ready.
The fielders have liked it. They've come out and said in the field they love it because it's, you're not sitting there waiting and caught flat-footed because you're sitting there waiting on. I remember Perez for when he was the Mets and the Pirates when he was relief pitching. He was the human rain delay. He'd come in and take 30 seconds before you get in even on the rubber. I'm glad those guys that's kind of done with. I don't like the throw over rule. Throw over rules to me gives such a advantage to the base runner. Even slow guys are taking more of a lead. You're seeing more attempts from the catcher picking off players at first because they're getting bigger leads. You're actually seeing them get picked off. So that has happened, which makes the game more exciting. But man, that makes that right fielder have to be more alert in case of a bad throw.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, you have
to be running down to the corner to go pick up a ball. But those things, when there's a addition, there's going to be a subtraction. The offense gets an addition, the defense needs to figure out how to subtract it. Just like a good hitter, we talked about it last year. Yuri De La Cruz comes up killing it, and then pitchers figured out he had trouble with off speed. He has to figure out how to stop it. There's always, it's a chess match out there. And that's why I love the game so much. Okay.
Yeah.
Out, now what? That's why I think it's dumb the third time through the order rule makes me hot, because you're telling me guys don't face the same team 2-3 times in a year.
Well, I mean, I've never understood. The only thing that could have anything to do with that would be fatigue. Because and maybe at the beginning of the year, but you're going to tell me in July, you're going to go out there and talk to Clayton Kershaw. Okay, we're getting ready to go through the third time in the lineup, so we'll probably have to take you out because this is the third time in the lineup. All Kershaw has got to say is, I just pitched against these guys last week. It's my 8th time through the lineup.
Right.
Not my third. It's the third time today.
Yeah,
but
it's not like he added a different pitch for the wrinkle.
Yeah, since the beginning of the season, it's the 23rd time through the lineup.
Yeah.
That is the most idiotic thing that I have ever. It just makes no sense at all.
Right.
And
they don't want to put it on fatigue like it's the 5th or 6th inning. Your ball isn't snapping the same way, the same rotation, the same velocity.
And I know I'm old.
Guys go so hard from pitch 1 to pitch 99. They're everything they got.
I know I shouldn't be so cynical and get a little hot-headed about certain things. Angel Hernandez.
That's all you got to say.
I'm watching the game. He's actually calling a good game behind the plate. He's honestly, this is probably the best game he's ever called. I'm gonna send him an email. Great job. Try to do this every time. Then a high inside pitch comes. Now I'm gonna show you exactly what happened. The batter's up here just like this. High inside pitch. He swings right there. The ball hits either his hand or the end of the bat and goes foul. He said, foul ball. Fine. The manager comes out, I want a challenge because the ball hit his hand. Can't challenge. So he wants you to ask the other umpire. So he brings the other umpires in. They all talk it over. None of them could tell whether it hit his hand or hit the bat. Guy said, challenge, look at it. See what it'll show you where it hit his hand. Now, on the replay I saw, you could hardly tell. But that's beside the point. Angel Hand says no. You know why? Now remember, this is what he did. He swung. He what? This is a swing? Well, then the manager says, ask the first base umpire if that was a swing or not. Because it wasn't even close. That's why they couldn't review it. Because if it's a swing, it can't be reviewed. I'm going, he strikes again. Hey, man, I thought you had it. I thought you were going to have a good game, buddy.
I'm telling you, after the Harper thing last year, he should have been thrown out of baseball.
Hey, I'm telling you, he's been in the league for a million years, and that's why they don't get rid of him. But he's horrible. I mean, it's just, how can you come? And then the poor man, the manager just walks back in the dugout shaking his head because what can you do?
Yeah,
you can't fix stupid.
Yeah.
So I mean, but I'm going, oh my goodness. And here's another thing, guys and gals, the old man's not going to beat this dead horse any longer. I'm not going to even talk. Today's the only day I'm going to mention it the whole year. I promise. The catcher's on one knee. They're all doing it. So there's no point in me talking about it anymore. It's over. There's no point. I saw it again the other day. Ball got by a guy because he couldn't shift his weight over. Okay. I'm fine with it. That's what you want to do. Oh, but here's the other thing, son. Some genius. I like this one. It's okay to be on one knee, catcher, but you're better off on your left knee than your right. Some genius in one of these analytic, one of these little panty waists that came out of Harvard at 25 who never saw baseball in his life, has come up with this thing where it says if you're better off on your left knee. My question is this. Is that with a right-handed batter or a left-handed batter? Because the knee is different with each batter. Some catchers stay on the same knee the whole time. Some catchers switch from the left knee to the right knee depending on who's in the box. So how do you figure that out? I'm saying, well, that's genius. But that's the only time I'm going to mention it because of that. Now, I saw something in spring training. Thank you, Lord Jesus. I haven't seen it in the regular season or I'd have gone berserk. I was watching, these Hispanic ball players are a riot because they play the game their way, baby. And if you don't like it, that's too bad, but they're hilarious. I'm watching a spring training game. Fly ball to right field in Arizona. Sun shining. The guy's doing this. Ball, boom, hits 15 feet in front of him. He never saw it.
Right.
He had dark glasses. Up here. So then, I forgot who the team, they come in. Oh, and San Diego goes out, and Tatis is in right field, and he's got his glasses in the same place. I'm going, if you're going to, even the announcer said, if you're going to wear dark glasses, what are you doing? I mean, it serves no purpose. And you know what the other announcer said? Well, that's the new fashion statement.
They're probably getting paid to have the glasses on them somehow. So
they had it on top of the hat.
Right.
And the guy couldn't catch a fly ball. So, I mean, I'm going, oh, please don't do this in the regular season. You know, I couldn't manage. Because when the guy got the dugout, I just hit him upside the head with a bat. I mean, it just.
Yeah.
I see this kind of stuff, and it just drives me crazy. And
right. Yeah. That's why I like the old flip downs. Just give me the old flip downs. If you're going to do the thing. Flip downs.
Yeah. And I like the way they put lamp black under their eyes on a night game. That's always
well. I can tell you,
the lights can get in your eyes.
Well, it's a glare thing. It knocks so when those bulbs are shining, the glare. I can tell you that helps. I used to do that, so it helps. I didn't for a while in one night game because we played all night games, but at home, I tried it.
I think when we do this, they'll be playing a couple of weeks. When we do this next week, we might even pull up the standings and look at them and just.
Yeah, I just didn't want to start doing that yet.
It's way too early.
Yeah,
I like to get. We don't have to do that for several weeks because it's way too early.
Yeah, I wanted to hit the quarter pole or something before we start doing that.
Now we both picked Atlanta to win that division, but if they lose Strider for the year, they're done.
Things. Oh, I don't know if they're done because knowing them, they'll bring up some guy we never heard of.
Well, Sale is pitching decent for him, but the last two
how many
games,
pitches does he have in that arm, right?
Well, that's what I said when we started.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I didn't pick them to go to the World Series. I picked Philly because I figured this pitching staff for Philly be in better shape at the end of the year. I'm looking down the road.
We've said it before. It seems like the Braves can win the regular season, but they just can't figure out a short, a series. They can't get over that hump. They don't know how to win a 7-game series somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the difference really is, but
I would call them the Chargers of the National League, but I can't because the Chargers don't win their division.
Right. That's why you call them the Mariners. And one of my friends picked the Mariners in the American League. So, but he heard.
Tell him I picked them last year. Good luck.
Yeah. He'll watch. He'll say something. Yeah. So this year, I mean, to me right now, the season's going as it's going. Nothing too crazy. Again, young players now just extend. It's unbelievable to me how ready these guys are at such an early age. To me, if you're a college player like Bleday was, and you don't get in the league for a couple of years, that means there's an issue somewhere. These guys that steer and just to see them, because you would have never said the Reds have a chance 10 years ago. We would have said they're too young, blah, blah, blah. But the Astros kind of changed their minds. The Orioles really changed their mind that these young players are ready to play, and they play at such a high level, and the big lights don't scare them.
Connor Henderson made a play behind second base yesterday playing for the Orioles.
Well,
Gunnar, it was unbelievable.
He's a special dude. And I think they got a couple of special dudes down there at Tidewater. And on the MLB, you can actually watch the minor league games on the MLB package. So I might start watching some Tidewater games some nights just to see. One of my friends watched the Charlotte and Tidewater play each other the other night just to see, because the White Sox got some good talent on the minor league. And Charlotte Knights is the AAA team of the White Sox.
Yes, Charlotte Knights is the AAA team of the White Sox.
Right. Because it's weird. They're there. I got the high single A team down the street, And they'll be starting their home stand this week against Greensboro Grasshoppers, which is the Pirates high A team. So they start the season with them, and then they play like Hickory. There's almost all the teams are here in North Carolina for A ball, so not a lot of traveling. I know you look at AAA like stuff like but do you know if they're playing like 4 and 5 game sets to cut down on travel?
I know I can't say exactly what they do in AAA, but they've been doing this in AA since COVID.
Well, I know single A started doing it after because they wanted to cut down on.
Well, double A started at the same time, so they might be doing it in all of them. Where they play
it's funny.
They play like Hagerstown will come play the Flying Squirrels in Richmond 6-game set.
Yeah, it's just funny they do that. And they're playing Raleigh, which you can literally drive to and from wherever they're staying at Raleigh in 30, 40 minutes. So
yeah, well, I mean, when they make the schedule up, they got to make it up for everybody.
Right, so Hickory's the same. It's like an hour travel time. They can
see that's the one thing. That's the one thing when both Richmond and Tidewater, Norfolk, whatever you want to call it, had AAA teams. They were rivals.
Right.
And you could travel back and forth to go see the teams play, and they were big rivalries, and they had big crowds.
You actually had fans from each team in the stands.
Exactly. And then of course, Richmond lost their team. They went down to.
I rooted for the Tides at the time because they were the Mets AAA team.
Yeah. And then the Richmond Braves went to Gwinnett, and then 2 years later, then the AA Squirrels came to Richmond, and they've been breaking all kinds of attendance records ever since.
Yeah. Hope it continues with a new president there. So of operations. So I just want to add this to all the craziness going on. So Friday, MLB announces, and the Phillies with Nike announced the new stupid uniform, whatever City Connect uniform. I don't know if you've seen it. It looks like a softball jersey to me. If you watch any of the new softball, like high-end softball, it looks like that to me. The hat's not too bad. It's got the Liberty Bell on it, I think. It's pretty cool. It's just a color scheme. It's 2 different color blues blended in. It says Philly on the front, or Phila. I can't remember which one on the front. The numbers look weird. The 7 on Trey Turner, somebody said now batting for Philly, the Riddler, because it looks like a question mark. I thought that was hilarious. But right after, now get this, right after they unveiled this, right, the earthquake happened up there. Do you know about the earthquake?
Oh, sure. Yeah. That was all the news.
Saturday.
That was all the news.
So all over my messages with my Philly friends. See, even God hates it. So it's like,
well, the new Nike uniforms that everybody blasted. The first really warm day anybody played in, and they perspired. The team in the gray uniform looked like they were naked. So I mean, it's horrible looking. So they're going back to the drawing board, and they may redo.
It looks like practice uniforms.
It does.
It looks like batting practice uniforms. I'm sorry. They look like little leaguers. The names on the back look atrocious. I know it's baseball. I know we shouldn't care what the jerseys look like, but I've always been taught you play how you look, right? If you look like a dirtbag, you play like a dirtbag. And I mean dirtbag in a good way, like how teams dirty, you slide, you get dirty in a snowstorm. I love those type of players. They're hard. But if you go out there and your shirt's halfway hanging out, you just don't look good, you don't play well. It's been an old adage. I just don't like it. And it was done for money savings. I don't care what they say about trying to make the players. They've been playing in those uniforms. They moved from the old-timey uniforms in the 60s to a new uniform in the 70s to what, they've been doing is. And they are a little heavy, but these players, they're not running 100-yard dashes. They might
Well, the
run
old
for first
uniforms
to
when I
100.
was a kid,
We're wool,
they were made out of wool.
right?
And they were made out of wool, and they played mostly day games.
Right.
And then when the end of the 50s, most of the games went to night.
Right.
Then in the 60s, even the World Series, some of the games were at night. And then it evolved. They went away from the wool and got into a cotton. It was a cotton and something else blend, and then
they started with the little holes. It's not a mesh, but
right.
And a lot of these guys wear undershirts and all that, because I was taught early on you wear because people at work get them on me in the hot summer days. I always wear an undershirt if I know I'm going to perspire, because your undershirt, if you perspire, soaks up your perspiration and you feel every little breeze. It's an awesome cooling off mechanism that your body has. But these guys, I mean, they're athletes. It's not me going out there playing in a beer softball league. I mean, these guys are prepared. They're well hydrated. I feel more for the umpires during the game, but even now they bring water out to them. But they don't never get an inning off. Those guys stay out the whole time, especially the guy.
You and I saw that up in Washington. Right. We saw you and I when we'd go to games in Washington. It was real hot. Between innings, they ran out and brought water to the umpires.
Right, and I thought that
every once in a while you see an umpire running the dugout. You knew where he was going.
Yeah, but the uniforms, is an issue unto themselves. It's not, and not to have the Players Association input on it. They will have that in the next agreement. To unilaterally just do it as a company.
Well, they made a lot of money for Nike too.
Yeah, well, and Fanatics. It's a joint venture.
Exactly.
It's Nike,
joint
Fanatics,
venture.
MLB.
Yeah.
So Nike's making it, Fanatics sells it in all their team shops. So, I wish more teams were like the Yankees when it comes to this. Because it don't seem like the team has any input in their own uniform when they make this specialty jersey. The city connects. The Yankees said no to it because we are a business unto ourselves. You're not going to mess with our business.
No, you're not going to get rid of the pinstripes.
You're not, or the grays, the away grays. You're not going to have them wear something other than a pinstripe uniform on a home game. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, now in a away game, they'll wear the grays, and sometimes they'll wear a black top.
I don't even know if I've seen them do that. Long, if they have,
I saw it the other day.
Oh, did they? Okay, I stand correct. I don't watch. I self-admitted, even with Soto, as much as I love him, I just can't do it unless they're playing the Mets. It's hard for me.
Well, I didn't watch the game. I just saw the highlights.
Oh, highlights, okay.
Because I was
watching their highlights.
Yeah, I've been watching. I watched the women's basketball one night instead of
Yeah, well, it's a championship games tonight, so
at 3:00. They're playing right now.
Oh, it's at 3. I thought it was tonight.
No, it's 3:00.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to let you go so you can watch that because I know you're probably chomping a bit to watch some Caitlin. So, anything to finish this day on, Dad? I said my 2 bits on the Philly jersey. What do you got?
No, everything's fine. My Nationals. It's like what's the definition of insanity? Doing something over and over again and expecting a different result. It's the same team they had last year, same pitching staff they had last year with about 2 or 3 different, and they're in the same results. So maybe they'll get out of that funk one of these days, or get some people that know what they're doing, and they get unfunked. But I mean, I'm just hoping against hope. But they look like the same team that we had last year. That poor Josiah Gray, he couldn't get me out.
Yeah, and I was really high on him. The Nationals still are high. He's still young.
It's early. It's still early. That's what I keep telling myself. I got to tell myself the same thing I tell other people. It's still early. But
and he doesn't have the – well, I want to say – I almost said something that then I wanted – because fielding-wise, up the middle, they are awesome. So he has some good backing in the field. But we'll see. It's a wait and see moment. Let's see if they get over 60 wins this year. So with that being said, I don't really have anything to add on this young season. Just loving it, loving it, watching it when I can. Just soaking it in. I'll probably get off of here, turn on a game. And until next time, like, share, hashtag watch the games, and we'll see ya.